Hey everyone, I'm going to start on the water pump for the 1999 Escalade. First thing we're going to do is remove the fan shroud just so we can get at everything. And we're going to start by removing the wiring harness. Take out these two clips. Put that over there. And then these bolts, these are 10 mils. I'll take these out. And I'm gonna have to do something about this box here, which I'm not really sure what its function is, but probably some sensor. So let me take care of that stuff, get this fan shroud out of the way so we can get at what we gotta do, and I'll be back. Okay, I've got the top three bolts out, and there's one right there. Another one on the other side. And there are two more, because we only need to take off the top half. So there's one in there, and on the other side of the fan shroud, there's one in there. Okay, so total of 7 bolts. Okay, all bolts are out. 2, 2, 3. Get that guy out of the way. And there's our workspace. So next up, getting the clutch fan off. Okay, so I had a hell of a time getting this clutch fan loose. You see it's finally going now. So here's how I did it. I didn't film this. I should have, but I would have probably had an hour of film of failed attempts. So I had this tool that's made for going on. You take 2 of these bolts out, you screw them into here, and this thing will hold it. But I can't get these 10mm bolts off. My wrench isn't long enough. So I finally got the idea that I could take this, wedge it in there, put it right there, and then I found this really big wrench. It's not a 36mm. It's a 1.5 inch. I actually got this in an old toolbox that I had bought to restore. And so by doing that, I was able to hit it with a hammer on this end with a heavy hammer and finally break it loose. I can't tell you, I've actually been at this probably for almost 2 hours trying to do it, and I have tried everything. But you know, your results may vary. This is a 24-year-old truck, low miles. This is the original water pump on it, and the original clutch fan has never been removed once. The penetrating oil, I don't know, maybe it helped, maybe it didn't. But either way, I got it off finally. Now after that, the rest of the water pump is going to be cake. Point of advice I'll tell you. So if you get confused which direction you should be beating this thing to get the nut to come loose. So see your fan blades? So the clutch, the engine turns this way because this is how it pulls the air in. So look at your fan blades, and that's the direction, because these are set up so that as the engine turns, it'll tighten. So if the engine's turning this way and that way is tightening, then obviously that way, the same way the engine turns is how you loosen it. So that's just how you'll be able to figure it out. But I mean, I assume all small block Chevys are turning the same direction, even if this is a last gen. When you take this thing off, just make sure you don't hit the radiator with it. Well, here it is. Interestingly, the threads aren't bad. It's not that rusty inside. I guess it was stuck here. You can see. Here's evidence of how hard I was hitting this thing to get it. Look at that. Jeez. Cut a gouge right in it with the wrench. I had a lot of trouble getting this thing off, man. But hey, live and learn. On to the water pump. Okay, before I take the serpentine belt off, I snapped a photo of it, which I think is a good practice because some of these can get pretty squirrely. You can see this one comes up, down, down, around, up, around, and then back up. So I snapped a photo. I've got the video to rely on as well. But to remove the serpentine belt's pretty easy. Just put your wrench into the tensioner, loosen it up, pull the belt off. Okay, next, I want to get these hoses off. These have the really old school clamps to them. So I'm gonna assume these hoses are not gonna come off easy. Probably been there quite a few years. So you got one here, you got the lower hose. Not sure if you can see that. Lower hose clamp right there. You're probably gonna want to replace these with more modern or more common screw type clamps. But maybe not. Won't give me back my wrench, but that's okay. I don't think I'm gonna need it for anything else. So the clamp popped open on my wrench, so it doesn't want to give it back, but that's okay. I'll be able to take it off anyway. All right, let me, this hose could probably use a replacement. It looks to be bubbling a little bit there. I don't have a piece of this hose. I'll have to get it, but let me get it off anyway. So let me pry those hoses off. Do that with a flathead screwdriver probably. Starting to warm up out here, isn't it, Nacho? Okay, next step. I got the hoses off. So next step is 4 bolts, 14 millimeter. 1, 2, 3, 4. I got my slightly extra long ratchet in case I gotta wrestle with these. I don't know how much I'm gonna have to try, but we'll see. I know it's in there, just can't see it. Oh geez, that wasn't hard at all. Okay. Jesus. Oh, that wasn't hard either. Jeez, these are all easy. That's 3. There's a little bit more stuck. And where is number 4? All right, well, that was no problem at all on this step. That got a hose. Okay. That hose does not want to let go. That's where the screwdrivers come in handy. It's been on here 24 years. It doesn't want to let go. Stretch it out a little bit and loosen it up. And it's out. You got it, Nacho. Easy to put back. Here's the pump. Gasket mostly. All right, so I gotta clean it up for the gasket. And then really the new pump's ready to go in. Whew. All right, well, I'm gonna take a break for a bit. I'll be back. Okay, next up, I'm gonna replace the lower hose, which though, it doesn't look too bad. It's been in here for, 24 years. So how you do that is I gotta get way in there. Way down in there. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show that. You can see with all this stuff out, the hose just runs up over and there's the clamp right there. So if you're going to do the lower hose, this is the time to do it. So let me get to it. Okay, I went with a screw clamp on the new radiator hose. Simply because, my God, that clamp was difficult to get at the squeeze clamp. I was going to have to maybe take the transmission line out. I just didn't want to do that. I finally got it out. It took me about 20 minutes. But new hose is in. So really, I just got to scrape the gaskets where the gaskets are going to go. There and there. Clean that up. Okay, so next I gotta take this off, and as far as I recall, none of those bolts like to come off. Here's the new water pump, and here's what you're gonna need to do it. You're gonna need your 2 gaskets, and you're gonna need some thread sealant, and I'll show you why. You're gonna wanna put this on here to kind of hold those gaskets in place while you line the pump up and get the bolts in. Now, thread sealant, what is that for? Well, I'll show you. Because in small block Chevys, one of the bolts actually goes right into the water jacket. See that? It's hard to see with the light, but see that lower bolt goes right in to the water inlet. And so that's got to be sealed or else it could leak. I got 4 new bolts, interestingly enough. They actually came. They came with thread sealant on them, which is cool and all. I'm still gonna put the thread sealant that I have on them before they go in. But yeah, so that's next step. Let's get this pulley off. Okay, I don't expect everyone to have one of these. Kind of an essential in a toolkit is an impact driver. This is actually cordless. I would try these with wrenches, but I already know they're kind of tricky. See if this works. Yep. Beautiful, beautiful. And now I gotta get this off. Let me get a mallet, rubber mallet, try to hit it off. Okay, slight tap of the hammer. Took this thing off. Now I've got 4 new bolts for this. I always put a little oil on the bolts. Just for the next guy that's got to take these off. I'm not going to use the impact driver to put them on. So my new bolts are 13s. Not that I expect much of a problem with that. Okay, we're good. Okay, while I do that, let's put some of the sealant, the high tack on this. And again, this stuff is so that when you go to put the pump up against the block, the gaskets don't move out of the way. It just kind of holds them in place. It's quite sticky. It's gonna be trickier than I thought. It's heavy. I might just thread this guy in and then move it later, because this one seems like the easiest one to get to. Okay, so I just wanted that guy snug so that the pump stops moving. Because these guys, I gotta put the thread sealant on. Now where's that hole? The second hole. Guys, this wrench, by the way, I got this from my father when he was selling off his tools, and it is called a Sidewinder, and it's pretty old, but you know, I don't have a lot of uses for it, but for something like this, it's great. It's really cool. So it's a regular socket wrench with a slightly longer reach because of this, but you can also spin it in with that. Makes it a lot easier. All right, let's put some of that sealer on it. So this guy, these two on this side, I'm putting thread sealer on. Well, that stuff is thick. Wow. Hopefully I get this in first try. I don't want to be dripping it all over the place. And where you going? I know you're there. You gotta love it when you, there you go. All right. Okay, pump is in. Let's get this hose up. As I was worried, this hose seemed a little shorter than the other one, and it is. I'm going to take a little maneuvering to get that hose on. So I'm going to have to push this hose up and hold it at the same time that I'm tightening this clamp. You probably cannot see at all what I'm doing. Okay, lower hose is on. Okay, and with that, it looks like I am officially out of daylight, so I'm gonna call it a night. Good progress. I got the thing apart, I got the pump back in. Really, it's figure out what I'm gonna do with these two hoses. Put the serpentine belt back on, and put the clutch fan back on. If I had these two hoses, I would have been done. But it looks like I can't cut them. They're just not bending right. So I gotta replace them now because they did have bubbles. And that's something I didn't foresee. So we'll be back at it hopefully tomorrow. Take care. Hey everyone, it's last day of this water pump job, and I just got back from the auto parts store where I got the two coolant hoses, and wow. So this guy here, $30 for this one hose. This other one, he was a mere $8. So crazy. And interestingly enough, if you really look, it's not even that close a fit. So this one's actually bigger on one end, but I gotta work with what I can get. So crazy crazy how things are getting expensive. But that's about it. I'm almost ready to wrap this thing up. Well, Nacho, you're gonna get stepped on if you do that. Jeez. Anyway, I'm about ready to wrap this thing up, so let's get to work. Let's get busy. Okay, for $30, I don't want to screw this guy up. So let's see where the best, most logical point where I'm not going to kink when I reshape this thing is. Looks to be there and there. Let's hope, because if not, I just lost $30 in another day playing with this truck. I cut it a little bit longer here, just in case. And hopefully I won't pay for that when I try to get it put on. So, I mean, you would think for 30 bucks it would be closer. Hey, at least the other one's right. Nacho, I'm telling you, you're in the wrong spot. I'm gonna forget you're there. Okay, this guy. Goes. Okay, this guy goes from there. Geez, I don't like that. That's not supposed to do that. And yet it is rubbing against this. Wow. Let's hope the other hose kind of pushes it out of the way. It kind of looks like it will. Okay. Let me get warm. Yeah. I'm pretty sure on this guy I can reuse these. These look pretty easy to get to. Incidentally, these types of vice grips, pliers rather, made by vice grips, these channel locks are very good for holding these types of clamps. Jeez, I don't like that at all. It's a very sharp bend on this thing. That guy there. Get this clamp out of the way. Okay, it's still kinking, but let's see. good news is it does push this hose out of the way slightly, so it's no longer rubbing. No, it is still rubbing. Jeez. You know, you'd never think that you're gonna spend that much time on this type of stuff. Get that out of the way. See if we can get this guy down further. So weird. Mostly not rubbing, but it is still slightly rubbing. Ah, I got an idea. If I twist the hose clamp, I can get it to push this back out of the way. It's a bold strategy. Let's see how it works out. Gonna be a little tricky doing that. Hard to get in there. Okay, it's free. We're not kinked. Yep, we're not kinked and we're not kinked. We're free. You're not going anywhere. You're not going anywhere. Well, who'd have thought you'd spend that much time? 10 minutes, 12 minutes just putting those two hoses on. All right. Serpentine belt next. Okay, so I am going to shut the camera down here and revert to my photograph that I took. So I'll be back once I get the belt on. And just for reference, so once you get the belt basically aligned, you're going to loosen your tensioner right there. Loosen your tensioner, and that'll give you the space to put the belt on. All right, let me take care of that. I'll be right back. Okay, serpentine belt is on. It's placed. Let's put the clutch fan back on, shall we? Let me get the camera in a place so you can see better. Hopefully you can see better with this. Looks like it. Vital step, but also an easy one. Just be sure not to bang on the radiator, and it's gonna go on and thread in the opposite way it came off. That's it. Okay. Now, here's the deal with these things. You know what? I didn't follow my own advice there that I always do. I didn't put any oil on that, and I'm gonna do it. Just for the next guy, because this was not easy to get off. let me put a little oil in the threads. You thought it was going to take 60 seconds, didn't you? Nope. I gotta do things twice. So again, I'm just, if you can see it, I'm just putting a little oil in the threads, just a little, and then it'll go on all these as you tighten it. And so this is self-tightening, so you don't need to make this thing very tight. So where's my gigantic wrench that I use? Thank God for buying old toolboxes where you get crazy stuff like a 1.5 and 1 5/8 Craftsman wrench. That's all you really need to do. It's tight. Because the way the engine spins, the engine's always tightening it. It's never going the other way, so it's never going to fly off. All right, let's clear some tools and things out of the way. Put the shroud back on. Okay, as I recall, on the shroud, let's show you where the bolts are. You'll have an easier time finding them. You see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so you got there. You got 2 there. That guy's missing a clip, it's broken. So I guess there was a bolt there, but I won't be putting it back. All right, get the shroud on. Okay, all right, now that the shroud is on, we got to do the wiring harness, and that was pretty easy. Just comes back around, goes in these clips, which hopefully still work. Tuck it in here, and with that, your water pump job is done. I'm gonna add some coolant. Let me go get my coolant, and we'll fire this bad boy up. All right, so stock coolant. This thing's got water in it already. So they tell you, and we're in Florida, but they tell you it's about a 50/50 ratio. Let me get a funnel. It's really 56 or so to 44, I guess is what they tell you. But make sure your funnels are clean. No dust. He's been sitting. All right. And Nacho should not be around here. I use the green coolant. I've heard the orange stuff corrodes radiators, tubes and hoses and stuff. This stuff, this vehicle's way before the orange coolant anyway. So seeing as how we're in Florida, and it very rarely gets below 30 degrees here, although on occasion it does. We saw it twice this year, got to like 30 to 28. So the 50-50 ratio gives you like a negative 50 degrees, and I don't think we really need that in this case, since this is not going to leave Florida. So let me fill this up with some water. I'll be right back. Okay, that's all the water I'm putting in it for now. All right. Probably put a little more antifreeze in it, half a gallon or so. I'm gonna wait, I'm gonna fire it up and look for leaks. You never know. One of those hose clamps that was impossible to get to might not do its job. We'll see. Give it a while, let it warm up, build up some pressure, and then we'll check it again. Okay, she's running great. Let's talk about what it cost. I think totally I got through this for about $200, and that includes a Delco factory replacement water pump. I didn't buy the cheap water pump, I bought a good one. Those 2 coolant hoses, all 12 to 14 inches of them that were $38. I bought the lower radiator hose, which was $30. I bought replacement bolts for both the water pump and the clutch fan. That was only about $10. And gasket sealant and the thread sealant and the gasket sealant or gasket glue. So under $200. Not bad, not bad. Your biggest obstacle is going to be getting that clutch fan off if it's like this, if it's been on there for 24 and a half years. Other than that, it's very simple. You know, this, surprisingly enough, this was my first small block Chevy water pump. You know, it surprised me when I even thought that. I have done Buicks going all the way back to the nailhead engines. I've done Oldsmobiles 307, 350. I've done Cadillacs. 472 I did a water pump on, but I've never done a small block Chevy. I did a Buick 3.8. I did 2 Buick 3.8s. Those are really easy to do. Actually far easier than this. But I've never done a small block Chevy. So go figure. Either way, it's 4 bolts. Once you get that clutch fan off, you're golden. It's very easy. It's just a couple hours really if you've got the parts handy. So if you found this video useful or even fun to watch, please like and subscribe. I've got more coming. I'm always getting busy. And if you want to tackle this type of job yourself, hopefully this was helpful. And hopefully you won't be intimidated. You'll just go out, get busy. Okay? Take care.